It is 1957, inside a laboratory in Mountain View. 8 scientists stand silently around a desk, staring at a document, preparing to commit professional mutiny. The man they are preparing to leave is William Shockley, a Nobel laureate and the co-inventor of the transistor. Shockley possessed a brilliant mind, but he managed his laboratory with heavy paranoia, erratic demands, and intense competition. Standing among the disgruntled staff is a 30-year-old chemist named Gordon Moore. In a room full of massive egos and loud arguments, Moore is quiet. He rarely raises his voice, choosing instead to carefully observe the dynamics playing out around him. Moore watches Shockley's management style completely suffocate the team's ability to invent. Recognizing that the environment is beyond repair, he helps organize the 8 dissenting scientists to pack up their research and walk out together.
This exit established a new precedent for the region. A small team could leave an established lab with a new idea, secure venture capital, and start their own firm. This specific cycle of spin-offs, later dubbed Fairchildren, became the primary mechanism that built the modern Silicon Valley ecosystem. The early technology frontier was a volatile place. It was overflowing with wild potential and brilliant engineering, but it lacked operational execution and emotional stability. Gordon Moore stood apart from the typical computing pioneers of the era. He trained as a physical chemist, originally drawn to the sciences as a teenager by manufacturing precise, highly controlled explosives in a backyard shed. He grew up in a financially conscious family that despised waste and avoided flashy behavior. That strict practicality informed every decision he made as an adult. He treated his personal finances with the same rigor as a laboratory experiment. To understand exactly where his money was going, Moore kept a meticulous, line-by-line log of every single household expense. This rare combination of patience and an obsession with logging data provided the necessary stability required to counter the industry's early volatility. This stabilizing force was put to the test when Moore later co-founded the Intel Corporation. Building a functional company out of raw innovation required highly specialized types of leaders. First, you needed a visionary. Robert Noyce filled that role as the charismatic, public-facing leader who pitched the big ideas and inspired the engineering teams. Second, you needed an enforcer. Andy Grove acted as the intense, unrelenting operational driver who demanded efficiency and pushed the staff to their limits. Gordon Moore was the crucial third pillar. Sandwiched between Noyce and Grove, he was the glue. Moore enforced a flat structure, enabling open, barrier-free communication. Without a methodical, level-headed presence operating in the middle, a visionary and a driver will inevitably tear a startup apart. You can see how Moore's brain worked by looking at how he handled technical crises. Early on, the team developing Intel's microchips suffered from terrible production yields and massive reliability failures. While a typical executive might panic or shout at the staff, Moore quietly stepped back. He sat down, pulled out the technical literature, and methodically analyzed the daily progress reports. Moore viewed the manufacturing of a microchip as a chemical printing process. He reasoned that because it was just chemistry, there was no physical wall blocking their progress. With enough time, money, and creative effort, that chemical printing process could be made better and better, year after year. By treating technology development as a highly scalable chemical process rather than a search for a miracle breakthrough, Intel gained a massive, sustainable advantage over its competitors. Because Moore viewed this printing process as highly scalable, he naturally began tracking the data year over year to measure their improvements. In 1965, he published a short article detailing a specific pattern he had observed in his logs. The number of components they could fit onto a single silicon microchip was roughly doubling every year. This chart shows the inverse economic effect of that pattern. As the complexity of the microchip curved exponentially upward, the cost of digital electronics dropped dramatically downward. Moore did not present this as a stroke of prophetic genius. He was a quiet man, publishing the raw numbers he observed right in front of him. The physical reality of that data meant packing an ever-increasing amount of computing power into microscopic real estate. What began as a simple observation quickly became a self-fulfilling expectation.
It served as the relentless metronome dictating the manufacturing pace for the entire global semiconductor industry. The downstream impact of Moore's law drove the global transition away from room-sized mainframes, allowing low-cost digital electronics to become ubiquitous in modern life. This transition from massive mainframes to pocket-sized tools was built using the analog slide rules and measured steps of a chemist. Gordon Moore was never the loudest voice in Silicon Valley. He remained a patient scientist, a careful data logger, and an avid sport fisherman until the end of his life. The digital revolution was driven by the stabilizer, who quietly observed the numbers and saw the future hidden in the noise.